Right now, at this very moment, millions of people across America are doing something they believe is making them smarter, happier, and more productive. But science is quietly revealing that this one habit is actually rewiring their brains in deeply damaging ways. And the worst part is that nobody is talking about it. You scroll your phone the second you feel even the slightest hint of boredom. You put on a podcast while washing dishes, play a video in the background while eating, fill every silent commute with noise, and feel almost anxious when there is nothing to consume, nothing to watch, nothing to stimulate your mind. And you probably think that is totally fine, maybe even smart, because why would anyone want to be bored when entertainment is literally one tap away? But here is what the science actually says, and it is going to genuinely surprise you. Boredom is not your enemy. Boredom is one of the most powerful and underrated mental states your brain ever enters. And by training yourself to never feel it, you're slowly and silently dismantling some of the most important cognitive machinery you were born with. This is not an opinion. This is neuroscience. And once you understand what is actually happening inside your skull when you get bored, you will never look at an empty moment the same way again. Let us go all the way back, thousands of years back, because the story of boredom is far older and far stranger than most people realize. Ancient philosophers did not even have a word for boredom in the way we use it today, but they absolutely felt it, wrote about it, and wrestled with it deeply. The Stoics of ancient Greece and Rome, people like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, spoke at length about the restless discomfort that arises when a mind has no external task to chase. Seneca famously wrote about how people travel from city to city, throw themselves into parties and feasts, and stay constantly busy, not because they love activity, but because they are running from themselves. He called it a kind of inner poverty, a failure to sit with one's own mind. The ancient Egyptians had their own version of this struggle. Historical records and surviving texts suggest that boredom-like states were considered spiritual warnings, signs that the soul was not being properly nourished by reflection and rest. Many early monastic traditions in both Eastern and Western cultures actually built deliberate silence and stillness in a daily life, not as punishment, but as a sacred and necessary tool for mental and spiritual strength. Medieval monks had a specific Latin term, aesthesia, which described a particular kind of spiritual torpor or listless emptiness, and it was treated as a serious condition that required attention. Interestingly, aesthesia was not considered laziness. It was considered a dangerous avoidance of meaningful inner work. Fast forward to the modern world, and we have somehow flipped all of that ancient wisdom completely upside down. Today in America, being busy is a badge of honor, and being bored is treated like a personal failure or a waste of time. We live in the most stimulated society in all of human history. The average American adult spends over 7 hours a day looking at screens, and that number goes even higher when you add in audio content and background media. The entire tech industry, worth trillions of dollars, is engineered specifically to make sure your brain never experiences a moment of understimulation. Every app, every feed, every autoplay feature exists for one single purpose: to make sure boredom never gets a foothold. And the tragic irony is that most people think this constant stimulation is a luxury. It feels like abundance. It feels like freedom. But your brain does not experience it that way at all. Here is the counterintuitive scientific fact that changes everything. When your brain gets bored, truly, genuinely unstimulated, it does not go blank. It does not shut down or waste time. It actually activates a remarkable network of neural regions called the default mode network. And this network is responsible for some of the highest level cognitive functions a human being is capable of. We are talking about creative thinking, self-reflection, problem-solving, emotional processing, and the ability to imagine future scenarios and plan meaningfully for them. Researchers at universities, including Harvard and the University of York, have found that mind wandering, which is what happens when you allow boredom to exist without immediately suppressing it, is directly linked to increased creativity and insight. Some of the most important ideas in human history, from scientific breakthroughs to artistic masterpieces, reportedly emerged not during focused work sessions, but during idle, unstimulated moments when the mind was free to roam. Isaac Newton did not sit down at a desk with a timer running and grind out the theory of gravity. The famous story, mythologized as it may be, points to a moment of quiet observation, a wandering mind making unexpected connections. Your brain, at its core, is a connection-making machine, and it needs unstructured idle time to do that work properly. But here is the part that should genuinely concern you. When you never allow your brain to be bored, when you constantly flood it with content and input and noise, you're training it to become dependent on external stimulation and deeply uncomfortable with internal stillness. Psychologists call this a reduced tolerance for internal experience. Over time, people who chronically avoid boredom report higher rates of anxiety, difficulty concentrating, emotional dysregulation, and something researchers describe as a decreased ability to self-generate meaning. In plain English, that means your brain slowly loses its ability to entertain itself, comfort itself, and think deeply for itself. It starts to need a screen the way a tired muscle needs support. And here is where it gets almost darkly funny when you think about it. A study published in the journal Science actually found that a significant number of American adults, when placed alone in a room with nothing to do for just 15 minutes, chose to give themselves mild electric shocks rather than sit quietly with their own thoughts. Electric shocks. They literally preferred mild pain over the discomfort of undistracted silence. That is not a quirk. That is a symptom, and it reflects how far we have drifted from a healthy relationship with our own inner mental world. The psychology behind this is fascinating. Human beings have what researchers call a negativity bias. Our brains are wired to treat discomfort as a signal of danger and to seek relief immediately. For most of human evolution, that was adaptive. But in the modern world, where boredom is not a survival threat, but our brains treat it like one, this ancient wiring gets hijacked by every app and streaming platform on the planet. They know exactly how your discomfort works, and they have spent billions figuring out how to be the relief you reflexively reach for. There's also a cultural dimension here that is especially sharp in the American context. In countries like Japan and several Scandinavian nations, there are cultural traditions that deliberately honor stillness and quiet. The Japanese concept of ma refers to a meaningful pause or empty space. In music, in conversation, in daily life, and it is considered a form of richness, not absence. In contrast, American culture has long prized productivity, output, and visible busyness in ways that leave almost no cultural permission for doing nothing. A person sitting quietly on their porch with no phone and no task is more likely to be perceived as unusual or even troubled than as someone engaging in genuinely healthy mental rest. And that cultural pressure compounds the neurological damage because not only is your brain being deprived of its necessary idle time, but you feel guilty and uncomfortable whenever you try to allow it. The good news, and there absolutely is good news, is that the brain is extraordinarily plastic, which means the damage is not permanent and the habit is absolutely reversible. Neuroscientists who study boredom tolerance have found that even small, consistent periods of unstimulated time begin to restore the default mode network's healthy functioning within weeks. You do not need a silent retreat in the mountains. You do not need to meditate for hours or throw your phone into the ocean. Start with something almost embarrassingly simple. The next time you're waiting in line, sitting in a drive-thru, or riding an elevator, put the phone in your pocket and just let your mind wander. Do not direct it. Do not manage it. Just let it go wherever it wants to go. That is your brain's creative engine warming up, and it has probably been cold for a very long time. Let your mind drift in the shower without playing a podcast. Eat one meal a week in silence without a screen in front of you. Take a walk without earbuds and just notice your thoughts as they surface. These are not inconveniences. They are genuinely therapeutic acts for your nervous system. Research shows that children who have unstructured